Welcome to today's special panel discussion brought to you by KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview. I'm your host, Ghost, and I'm joined by
Dulce.
And we're thrilled to have leaders from the Truist Bank join us today to share their unique journeys and insights into the world of banking.
This is a rare and exciting opportunity to learn directly from our exceptional leaders who bring diverse experiences across the financial industry. Their stories, advice, and perspectives will provide invaluable inspirations as you think about your future.
Our first guest is Mr. Daryl Johnson, Southern Dallas Marketing President and Senior Vice President of Truist Bank. Mr. Johnson is a proud alumni of the Business Magnet Center. With over 35 years in banking, he has excelled in delivering exceptional service to his clients and mentoring young people through programs like the Fellowship Initiative. His dedication to community service and education has made a lasting impact in the Dallas area.
Our next panelist is Mr. Brian Golden, Senior Vice President at Truist Bank and an Underwriter Portfolio Manager with over 25 years at Truist. He has held 9 roles, including Compensation Analyst, Merchant Sales Representative, Business Banker, and Regional Credit Officer. He is also a U.S. Army and Gulf War veteran and holds a bachelor's degree in accounting from West Virginia State University and an MBA from Marshall University.
Our third panelist is Ms. Keisha Allen, financial leader at Truist Bank. She brings extensive experience in retail banking, home equity, mortgage operations, and financial wellness. Her passion for financial literacy empowers communities to achieve their budgeting, savings, home ownership, and entrepreneurship goals.
And finally, we have Mr. Sonny Malik, Vice President at Truist Bank, specializing in commercial banking. With over 13 years of experience, he focuses on helping businesses grow, particularly in transportation and logistics. Mr. Malik holds a Bachelor of Business Administration from the University of North Texas and is deeply committed to his clients and community. We're excited to hear from each of them today. Let's get started.
We'll begin with our spotlight round. We'll learn more about each panelist's journey. Each of you has an incredible story, and we'd love to hear your background and experiences have shaped your career.
So our first question is for you, Mr. Johnson. You attended the original Business Magnet. How did your time here help prepare you for your career in banking?
Great question. And can I ask a quick question? Did you say your name was Ghost?
Yes.
Okay. Neat name. Love it.
Thank you.
Going to the Business and Management Center actually was the foundation and the catalyst that introduced me to banking. I had a teacher by the name of Saritha A. Merchant, and she managed the finance and credit section. Back when, I think somebody said we were in horse and buggies, but we were not. The Business and Management Center was down on Bryan Street downtown, so it exposed me to downtown. Secondarily, it exposed me in Saritha A. Merchant. We used to call her Sam, Saritha A. Merchant. She really emphasized 2 things. She emphasized attitude and she emphasized work ethic. And the exposure to doing that and being involved in the school curriculum and activities really set the foundation for me. Additionally, back then, we had an opportunity as juniors in high school to be engaged with financial institutions and work there part-time. So we got credit for working part-time. So as a junior in high school, I was actually a bank teller at a place called Texas Commerce Bank, which eventually became a wholly owned subsidiary of Chemical Bank. And as we all know, Chemical Bank was the aggressor in the merger with a little place called Chase Bank, which is now JP Morgan Chase. And that's where I spent 36 years of my banking career at JP Morgan Chase. So hopefully that answers your question.
Mr. Brian, you've held 9 different roles at Truist. What role had the biggest impact on your career and why?
That's a really good question. I had to think of it in a backwards way. So the job that I've done the longest is centered on the first job I had, well, the middle job that I had was called a business banker. And as a business banker, my responsibility was to make business loans to small businesses, right? my background is in accounting and in finance, and I'm an introvert by nature. Okay, that role helped me to get out of my shell a little bit and be around people, learn how to network and shake hands and rub elbows to try to drive revenue. But it's in that role where I learned about credit underwriting as well, and that's what I've done for almost 20 years now. Basically, looking at a client, trying to ascertain if that client's a good fit for the bank. Are we a good fit for that client? And then how do I support that with the person who actually approves the loan? So it's a really good question.
Our next question is for you, Ms. Keisha. Your career spans areas like retail banking and financial wellness. What has been the most rewarding part of your journey so far?
That's a really, really good question. I always tell people when you get to do a role that you effortlessly can do, it changes your mind. It changes your narrative. It changes your perspective. I tell people all the time that sometimes you don't know what your why is. You don't know what your vision is. You don't know what road you're going to take. And you suffer with trying to find out what it is. And I remember starting a nonprofit organization with a couple of friends, and each one of us had our own unique line, but I always struggled. I was like, man, what am I good at? Like, what do I bring to the team? And one of my friends said, Keisha, you balance a checkbook like nobody's business. So for those of you that don't know what a checkbook is, that's a little register where you keep account of your funds. And he was like, Keisha, you balance a checkbook like nobody's business. And I said, you're absolutely right. Why do I do that? I love budgeting. I love saving. So that became my line, and that became my lane. In this role, I get to stay in my lane. And I finally have it make sense for me of what I really was created to do.
I need to learn how to love saving too.
It's not a job.
It's not.
When it becomes something you love to do.
Absolutely.
That's a great point.
Passion.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
a passion.
It's definitely a passion.
All right, Mr. Malik, your background in transportation and logistics is unique. How did that specialization shape your approach to banking?
Great question. First of all, let me just say that I'm so proud to be at Townview and be amongst all of you guys, and seeing you guys manage this, and I heard over multiple platforms. Just tremendous to see all this, and congratulations on all that you guys are doing. First of all, great job. I know sitting in front like this and presenting, it's not always the most comfortable, but you guys are doing great. So just
Thank you.
let me mention that. Let me back up to how I got into transportation and logistics. It was not by design, okay, let me tell you. A lot of us and a lot of people that I'm seeing here that are sitting here do not know what they want to do. And they do not know which career path that they want to take. But if you have the right behaviors and if you have the right attitude and approach, you will get there where you're supposed to be eventually. So for me personally, I'm a first-generation immigrant to the United States. Our family came to this beautiful country in 2010, and through our process and everything, we became citizens of this country in 2016. 2010, went to UNT, attended the business school over there, and one of two people that were selected to intern with GE Capital Equipment Finance at that time in 2010 from about 12 to 13,000 business students at UNT. To give you an example, the interview that I was going to give at GE, I first went to a wrong building in Las Colinas. That was a NBC headquarters. Then I went to another building that was just across the highway, happened to be Department of Homeland Security, the floor that I went in. It was very intimidating at that time. And finally got to where I was supposed to be, right, for interviews for my internship with GE Capital. So, you know, GE, huge name, huge organization. That's how I kind of went in to the group there with Dan Clark leading transportation at that time, and kind of started my career in transportation, right? So, you know, it was my first entry into my professional life at UNT, being an intern, and I absolutely loved it. Listen, all of you guys, 7 to 8 out of 10 things that you guys are interacting with, wearing, using, they've all been in a truck. They've all been in a medium duty truck. For example, bananas or apples. They've been on a refrigerated truck. You just think about meat. If you think about clothing, they've been on a dry van trailer across the United States, right? So, rail, you've got rail. Rail is limited, right? You cannot have tracks coming into, for example, Townview, right? They're going to be on trucks. So a very key industry in the United States, and I felt that I could make a huge difference in this. So that's where, once again, I was motivated, worked hard, got into the right organization, and then I found my path into transportation and logistics. And obviously, it has shaped my career in banking, and as far as my scope that's where I cater to in Dallas, for example. So I help transportation and logistics companies, distribution companies, manufacturing, and all the ancillary industries that come in with that. So very passionate about it. Very thankful for GE and Dan Clark and his group for the opportunities that I've always gotten throughout my career, and now with Truist. So yeah, just a long answer, but just love being here with you guys.
I love the long answers. Keep the long answers.
I'll be here all day.
Okay, so our next question is for you again, Mr. Johnson. What's one challenge that you faced working in the Dallas market, and how did you overcome that?
Great question. First, who wrote these questions? You guys, those are phenomenal questions. First of all, I think in banking, especially here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and these guys would probably agree with me, there is a huge level of competition. And I mean, so like there's 3 banks on every corner. Competition, and Brian mentioned it a little bit earlier, I grew up in the retail, wealth management, small business functionality of the role. So a lot of people don't recognize, but that's a sales position. And the point that he made earlier, I don't know whether you guys caught it or not, but I would say that Brian and I are more similar because I'm actually a natural introvert. Life experiences expose you, and you have adults that mold you to tell you to be engaging and to ask the question. And having that exposure at a young age at Business and Management Center gave you a huge opportunity to prepare for when you get on the big stage of working in a financial institution. So that experience and being able to engage people and having that introvert personality was probably the hugest. But given that it was a sales position, your job is personality. It is attitude. And your ability to talk to people and listen and catch the things that they say and convert that then to a series of questions that gives you an opportunity to uncover their needs. Because this banking job is a very noble profession. The job is really to help people. And when you understand what the role is and your ability to help and how you can help, then you're able to easily overcome all of that competition because you stand out above other individuals who are competitors to you, if you will. So I think competition was a big obstacle. Having an introverted personality, being able to overcome that came from the foundation of which I got at Business and Management Center.
Mr. Brian, what was the transition like moving from the Army to the financial industry?
Well, first of all, let me give you a little backdrop. I started college, and I went to the University of Colorado, and I got in over my head financially, so I went into the military, okay? And I won't say that I was eager to be there, but I figured I'd go in there for 2 years, get the GI Bill, that way I can go forward to go back to college, right? I didn't think there'd be a war, but there was. And so made it through the war, right? And then I went back to school. Got my accounting degree, got an MBA, which is a master's in business administration. And then I was looking for a job, and I kind of fell into banking. It's not it was not my original choice. My original choice was to be a big-time CPA. Back then was big-time, big 8 accounting firms. And now there's only 4, if there's still 4. But that didn't work, okay? And so I might say this later, but if I don't say it, I'll say it now. It's not where you start, it's where you finish, right? And so one of the biggest things, my takeaway from the military is even though I didn't really want to be there was purpose for me to be there to help me achieve a goal, right? And so my mindset in the military is to be the best soldier I could be, right? That transpired or transferred over into moving into the financial services industry. And even some of those skills and things that I was exposed to helped me in the financial services industry. And sometimes maybe overkill, because in the military, you have a mission. And the mission is you successfully accomplish that mission or you fail. There's no in between. You pass or fail. If you pass, everybody lives, everybody's okay. If you fail, people die. Now that's not the extreme case in the service. Even though we treat it that way, right?
We do.
Oh, we lost that loan. Oh, I can't believe it. But nobody's dead.
Right.
We're okay.
It's just banking.
It's just banking. Yeah, we get another opportunity, right? But it helped me to be even more driven from a purpose standpoint, and also helped me to focus on what's really important, right? When you see, and I hate to be this kind of morbid, but when you see dead people, it gives you a greater perspective about living, right? Even being in the military, and I went to Korea, and I was, of course, in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, and seeing how other people lived gave me a better appreciation for being an American, right? The freedoms that we have, and just knowing that I just have as long as I have the opportunity, it's up to me to survive and to succeed. So I'll carry that into being in banking, and there's some good days, and there's some bad days, but I'm still alive.
Can I make a point to something that he kind of shared with you guys? We're talking to young people this morning, and I think it's extremely important. First of all, thank you for your service.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It was unwilling, but I'll take it.
Yeah. But I think one of the things, in Brian's delivery, is he said it, and a lot of people may not have picked up on it. He didn't necessarily want to go into the military, but he was thinking about his future. And I think it's extremely important that all of us, at some point in time, especially when you're young, take a step back, go up 20,000 feet, and think about the future of what you want to accomplish. I think that it's extremely important, and I think God blessed me to be able to do this, just to think about how do you want to be able to provide for yourself? How do you want to be able to provide for your family? And where do you want to stand in the world as you get older? And that should shape the steps that you take if you're serious about getting there. So being able to step back and really think about, hey, what do I want to actually accomplish, and how do I want to take the steps to get there? I think individuals that do that at an early age kind of set the foundation for their success. And the job for all of us is to really be thinking and focusing on what we need to do to put ourselves in the very best possible position to be successful. And so if we're not doing that at a very young age, then sometimes I think we might get lost. But when we're doing that consistently, you have just positioned yourself more greatly to meet that goal of being successful. Hopefully that makes sense.
No, yeah, it made sense. And I agree, because when I started in here, I had to put myself in a comfortable position because I was horrible introvert. Like I was never talking in front of cameras or anything or doing interviews. So whenever I talk to people, I stuttered a lot or I couldn't keep eye contact. And now that I've got to do that for 2 years, I've got to talk a lot about it. Like during open house last night, I got to say a lot of things during because we hosted for like 2 hours. So I got to talk about it with our viewers. And we had a lot of our other team members talk around with the other people who showed up in person. So you do have to put yourself through uncomfortable positions to get to where you want to be in your future.
Absolutely.
Can I share this real quick? The true definition of introversion and extroversion isn't about because you're shy or you're not shy. It's where you get your energy from. Okay. My wife is an extrovert. She loves to be around people, but she hardly ever talks. I'm an introvert. I draw my energy by being by myself, but I can talk all day. So it's not really about how you interact with people. It's where you get your energy from.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I'll just say one last thing to Brian's point, and I think that sometimes we don't realize the impact of the decision that we make. He said that he went into the military because he got in over his head financially for school. Sometimes we don't think about those decisions that we're making from a financial standpoint. We think, okay, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to somehow pay for it if I don't have a scholarship or some type of funding. But when we get in over our head, what's the solution to that? So I love that you said that, and that, again, keeps my role relevant. So I appreciate it.
You keep a job.
Yes, keep me with a job.
Let me encourage a few people as well. The reason I got in debt is because I passed up a scholarship. I had a full ride to West Virginia University. I didn't want to. I grew up in West Virginia. I was born in Texas. I grew up in West Virginia. I didn't want to live in West Virginia. I wanted to go to school somewhere different. That might be where I live. So my mother was from Colorado. My grandparents were in Colorado. So I got accepted in Colorado. Plus my mother started her college career at Colorado, and she got pregnant with me and she dropped out. So I was trying to finish what she started. But if I had some advice from somebody who had been through the process before, I mean, no one in my family had been through college. They would have told me, look, go to school in Colorado your senior year, or sit out a year and get in-state residency. That way you have in-state tuition. That's why I couldn't afford it. I had out-of-state tuition. So my tuition was like 3 or 4 times much or more than the person who was in-state. So again, it's the planning phase. It's asking questions. But then also the biggest thing is sometimes you get to make a bad choice. The bad choice is not the bad choice. It's what you do after you make the bad choice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You keep going, pushing forward.
Absolutely.
So I know we got off on a tangent, but
No,
That's fine.
correct me if I'm. Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
I had a comment. So we're going to be very real on this podcast, right?
Yeah.
We're going to be as truthful and as open as we can. Here's the reality. When all you guys and most of the people that are listening will be competing against your cohorts, right? You will, let's say you have a panel of 3 interviewers, and there's 10 of you guys sitting there in a team setting, for example. And for example, an organization is judging which applicant to pick for a beginning role or analyst role or their summer internship, or it could be anything, right? As human beings, unfortunately, when extroverts in that group talk, the way they present, the way they project themselves, when they do that, they immediately catch the attention of whoever the individual that's hiring them or interviewing them or looking at them for a job. It is so important for introverts to be able to first recognize that this happens, and this is human nature. There's nothing that we can really do about it, right? It's for introverts to recognize this and then make sure that they project themselves to where they are also heard, they are also presented, and they also are part of the conversation. And they're not just overtaken by extroverts, which they're in their natural environment. The introverts are in their natural environment, and people they're humans, right? But this is our job, Daryl, Keisha, Brian, and myself. It's our job to talk to you guys about these things, which are from the real world and how things work. And so for us to make sure that you guys recognize those little nuances that get you guys through the door, get you guys heard, and get you guys, that attention that you for a fair shot at that opportunity, right? So for all the types, right? So I just wanted to add to that.
Correct me if I'm wrong. We're on your second question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
What inspired you to focus on helping communities with financial literacy?
Well, as I stated earlier, that's always been a passion of mine, right? But I want to give you a statistic. 70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. So that means out of every 100 people, 70 of those individuals are living paycheck to paycheck. That's a hard stat for me. Being in the banking industry and being in the retail branch for 10 plus years, I always seen people come in and need help, but they didn't have a solution, right? It was a help for right now, but it wasn't a solution to make it through. And so many times people were looking for, man, where can I just get some advice? Where can I just get some one-on-one attention? And back in the day, we didn't have these kind of roles. It was you went into the bank and hopefully your banker took the time to look at your finances, understand what you were spending your money on, kind of coach you. But we didn't have this specific role that said, hey, let me teach you what I can show you and then help you where you need the assistance at. So that's the first reason why. The second reason why was because if it's not being taught at home, where are you going to get it from? And a lot of times it's not being taught at home. We see our parents either do without or do with a lot. So how do we adjust to both sides? If we're seeing them do with a lot, then we tend to spend above our means because we want to keep that same lifestyle. Or if we see them do without, sometimes we think to ourselves, man, I just want to be better than my parents. Sometimes being better than your parents still keep you in that 70% of living paycheck to paycheck. Mm-hmm. Because being better just means that now I just have a little bit of savings where my parents didn't have anything. So knowing that that was a statistic that is changing and that I can impact, that's always been my dream and my goal.
Mr. Melick, what attracted you to a career in commercial banking?
Listen, to tack on to what Mr. Johnson here talked about, it's really it's not really a job. It's more of at Truist, we consider this as an advisory position. So you are a trusted advisor to a commercial business. That commercial business could be in our small segment. That commercial business could be in our middle market, upper middle market, corporate business. It does not matter the revenue. At the heart of it, a Truist commercial banker is a trusted advisor. So when you're a trusted advisor, you have the innate job to look at a business and look at all the angles, look at all the solutions that you can offer them, provide them, look at the industry, look at the future outlook, look at the current outlook, and look at the past as to what has been transpired throughout the many years that other customers are looking at, right? And then what do you bring to the table with that business? Is the advice from all these different angles, right? We talk about bankers giving loans, commercial loans, for example, real estate loans, right? But what people don't realize is that there's a lot of that advice element into it. Why does that customer need a real estate loan? How will that benefit them in the future? How can we tailor that loan to their needs, to their existing financial condition? So because you're really involved in a business, you're really involved in several types of businesses, is what really inspired me to become a commercial banker. I'll tell you a personal story. Just once again, as we're being as open and real as with all of you guys, right? And some beautiful personal stories that are shared here is very inspiring. For me, we grew up as a cricket loving household. You know, the game of cricket. You know, some of you guys might know, some of you guys might not know, but it's the English origination game of cricket. And my aspirations when I was young, or maybe your age, was to play cricket. Right, I was good at it, really wanted to play it, but my father had guided me to where, son, you have to graduate, you have to go to college, you have to get a good job, you have to get into a career, a very good career, right? So we became more career oriented. We went to that line, even though we didn't want to at that time, but you trust your trusted advisors, and then you go with that, and then you follow it, and then, so full circle, as a commercial banker, this year, through Truist and through my leadership, including Renda Matthews, who was our Dallas market president and team, I got the opportunity to bank a cricket league. I got the opportunity to bank a cricket league for Texas that was launched in the past few months. I was a commercial banker for that league. And guys, I cannot tell you how big this was for me. It was dream come true, because guess what? There were international cricketers from Pakistan, Australia, England, Bangladesh, you name it, several countries around the world. The cricketers that I watched playing as a kid, they were chatting with me in real life, talking about what I'm doing with the league, how's everything going, and I was standing with them shoulder to shoulder, right? So talk about full circle, right? So what I'm stressing at, guys, is that sometimes, especially early on in your careers, you might not be doing what you want to do, but you do it to get to where you want to be, right? So, but dream come true for me. So commercial banking, very, very fruitful, personally, professionally. And then, honestly, I get to do this. I want to thank Daryl and Max, for bringing me into this, right? And I get to sit with you guys. I get to sit, converse with you guys, share this with all of you guys. So that this is part of my job as well as a commercial banker, being part of the community and coming in and being involved, right? So, just a full circle, right? So, yeah.
We're on your last question, Mr. Johnson. Your bio highlights your commitment to mentoring. What inspired your dedication to helping young people prepare for college and beyond?
Great question. Easy answer. I mean, the experiences I had going to Business and Management Center, and I didn't go there the full 4 years. My first semester was at a local DISD high school. And being at that local DISD high school, and not talking negatively about it, but did not have anything of substance for me that I thought would help me in the long run. So I started doing some research, found Business and Management Center, and went there. So the experience that going to this magnet school afforded me really gave me some insight on what was available. And so I think about all the young people who may not get the opportunity to attend an Yvonne A. Ewell Townview Center with how many different schools? Specialized? Six?
Yeah.
6 specialized schools that give you a foundation and help you build a career for your future, which gives you the opportunity to kind of, see what you want to accomplish. There's so many out there that don't get that opportunity. And I just felt extremely blessed, number one. And then as an adult, I think the job itself of an adult is to really lend your experiences to others. And so that's really the foundation and the reason why I think it's important. And to Sonny's point, the ability to get the opportunity to work for an organization that not only allows it, but Truist encourages this type of participation in the communities that we live, because it's that important if we want those communities to thrive. Okay?
You want to move on to the bank-specific questions.
Yeah.
We're moving on. I love the discussion that we've had, but our time is getting cut short, so we're gonna start with our bank-specific questions. So I'm gonna start off with asking you guys, what makes Truist Bank stand out from other financial institutions?
And I think I just mentioned it.
Yeah.
This is an organization that not only allows it, but really encourages the commitment to community. And you don't, I'm not going to say, let's just say this. Truist walks the walk, and is just not a lot of talk when it comes to being committed to community. And I think it's extremely important, and it certainly makes our jobs a lot more rewarding.
Just to add to that, as commercial bankers, we're on the road, we're on the streets calling on clients and calling on prospects, right? In person, a whole lot. There are 276 plus banks in the DFW market, just in the DFW market, right? So if I go to a prospect on a 12-mile distance, I would probably call across anywhere from 20 to 30 to 40 banks on my way to that prospect, right? But the way that I explain it to my prospects and people that we want to do business with Truist is that your relationship team and your team that will support you is what matters, right? And so we have the right people to be able to support not only the community, but the commercial businesses that reside in that community and operate in that community. We have that commitment.
Excellent.
Sorry, we have to kind of rush through this. We're going to move on to some growth and opportunity questions. How does Truist Bank support professional growth and career advancement for its employees?
Well, considering that I've had 10 different jobs, and not just 9, I would say that the biggest thing I could say as advice is, I always tell people I used to manage, work yourself out of a job. I mean, whatever job you're doing, do it to the best of your ability so people see you. That's what happened to me. I had several jobs where people just saw me doing something and they recommended me for other jobs because I was committed, because I worked hard. I mean, and people always say, oh, I work hard, but everybody doesn't work hard. It's not just being there for long hours. It's actually getting things done.
Bringing value.
Bringing value. Thank you.
Bringing value.
And so the bank has afforded me an opportunity. Because, like I said, I started out in accounting, finance, and I transferred over to sales. And that's like oh, when you're not used to interacting with people. But they gave me the opportunity because I told them, I can do this. And so because I had the willingness, they believed in me as well, because I had the willingness to show them that I would do it in the best way I could do it, though. I'm not going to sit there and be the snoozer like some people can do. That's just not natural for me. But you should give me a spreadsheet and some numbers. I can make that thing talk.
Yeah.
So
It'll say yes or no.
I think I would add to that. We just came out of a month of Teammate Growth Month. So in the month of November, it was really geared around teammate growth. So we had all kind of webinars, we had trainings, we had podcasts, like we had everything that was really geared towards teammate growth. I say that because very rarely will you get with an organization that encourages, hey, look at something different. Like, it's time for you to grow. It's time for you to elevate. It's time for you to take a look at what you're great at, because we know that there's potential within you. A lot of times when you get with an organization, if you're really great at that role, trust me, they're going to try to keep you in that role because they don't want to lose that talent. But when you have an organization that's like, let's continue to level up the talent, that just hits a little differently.
And what do you think are the biggest challenges facing the banking industry today? And how can students prepare for those?
From our perspective, because since I'm in risk management, it's just regulatory things done by the government, where something bad happens and then the government comes in and they over-engineer something, then the companies have to pay for it basically to adhere to those new policies. That makes it hard for us, but then some of that also can translate into maybe increased costs to our customers, our clients, because of the cost we have to entail to meet all these new policies and regulations. The other thing is that this by the nature of the world we live in today, with the transformation of technology, AI is this paramount in all that we do nowadays. And that experience, I mean, I can't imagine what this world's going to be in like 10, 15 years.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to be, it's amazing now, considering I've been here almost 56 years. What's it going to be another 10 years?
Let me just ask a question real quick from the people that are sitting here. By show of hands, who would like to, whenever they open getting into banking and as customers, would you like to go into a bank branch to do what you do?
Well,
Okay.
there are no
Or-
hands.
No, listen. Or whenever you start that relationship, would you like to use your phone to do all your banking? Show of hands.
Everybody.
Right. So one of the biggest challenges for banks is the new generations that are coming. You know, it's a different way of doing business. It's a different way of interacting with financial institutions, and it's a completely different expectation that the next generations will have from banks and financial institutions. It's no longer brick and mortar. You know, go in, spend 20 minutes for a check or a wire, etc. That's just not going to be the expectation. So everybody is in the same, all institutions are in the same boat where how do we progress this to meet the coming generations, and how will they interact with financial institutions?
Next, we're going to move on to some critical thinking and reflection questions. What advice would you give students about managing their own finances as they prepare for adulthood?
One is, I'd say, you are never too young to start saving. That is extremely important. A lot of people don't recognize it. I mean, being able to put back, even if it's a little, and build a habit of doing that so that you become a saver. You know, Keisha spoke a few minutes ago, and I think she said like 7 out of 10 wage earners are living paycheck to paycheck, and they have not thought about a way to actually manage a process so that they can save money. I think the younger you start, the better off you're going to be, and the more beneficial it will be for you in the long run. So build that habit of savings early.
But then also, I'll kind of piggyback off of that, controlling your spending. A lot of times when we are younger and we get that first job and we're still living at home, we just kind of spend at will, right? We really don't have a goal. We're just spending because we have it. And then we find those same spending habits when we get into adulthood, because we haven't really taken a look at what are we spending the money on, how often are we letting things automatically come out of our account. So those practices and those behaviors tend to go into adulthood, which then leads to individuals not having enough money.
Yeah.
That's always the hard part, self-control.
Let me put a little bit of a different spin on this, right? Savings, extremely important. Controlling your spending, extremely important, right? But what is the antidote, or what is the medicine for this? Is earning more money.
Yeah.
Right? So we're coming from a school of we gotta save, we gotta be careful, we have to save and invest and all that. But I want you guys to look at the front of the engine, which is earning more money, right? At one of the presentations that we gave in a classroom a couple of weeks ago, one of a 10th grader, or I believe it was a 10th grader, who asked me, how do I start a business? How do I collect money to start a business? Incredible, right? So he's going through high school, he's going to go into university, he's going to go get a job and start earning, right? But think about ways that how can you have more streams of income. If you have more streams of income, and there's a lot these days that you have, those savings and those spending carefully, those problems diminish quite a bit. You still have to have those characteristics, but then I urge you guys to look at multiple streams of income as well. So,
And that goes back to really at a young age, stepping back, going up 20,000 feet,
Right.
identifying how you want to take care of yourself, how you want to take care of your family, how you want to live, and how you want to position yourself in life will drive that.
Yeah. Sometimes it's retroactive. We get there and then have to backtrack instead of looking ahead. So yeah.
Well, this question is my question. It's not really on the script, but I was gonna ask you, what streams of like income do you think are trending right now, or do you think that students could easily, I guess, get onto? Because right now I'm looking more into like podcasting, and since I'm in social media marketing, I want to manage my own social media once I start doing cosmetology and stuff. So.
very good, very good question. So, you obviously you have social media related potential. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Believe it or not, one of our wealth advisors, senior wealth advisors, a opportunity that came in was for a TikToker who was making $35,000 a month just by being on TikTok. And so we have to, as a bank, they look at managing their wealth, right? That's their earning. So I would encourage you guys to go online. There's a lot of material, a lot of data on what everybody's doing. Now you have people that are looking into food delivery or rideshare or driving and all that. But I think it's more time consuming and it's past its time. I think what right now needs to be done is to be leveraging technology. Give you another example. I was at a event yesterday evening at the deck. They're a startup, part of Dallas Regional Chambers startup group, and one of the examples that one of the presenters that's just started up a business, they're making $200,000 in revenue, was how to connect AI with maid services. So right now at this time, if you want to book a maid at the commercial level, it could take you a month to get somebody to get set up. With AI and with their setup, it takes a few hours. It takes maybe a 6-hour turnaround time, and you're already connected and you're already going through with vetted people through AI, right? So you have to, to Daryl's point, sit back, do your research, and then just explore what all options that you have. And you have tremendous organizations that will support you in that. So you have all these incubators that cost you very little money, a couple $100 a month, but they'll give you a little space. They'll have mentors. They'll have that whole incubator setup for you to be able to test your ideas and put them into practice. But it's a great time to do it, as you're in your early on. So
you should be like as resourceful as you could be, because in today, always you have to see what's available to you and make use of everything.
Yeah.
Because right now we have so much new technology coming out. There's so many things that we can do in order to get more money, and like now that we're getting older, we can also use the like help from bankers so that we learn how to manage.
Absolutely.
To kind of put a bow on that though, is you shouldn't be chasing money.
Oh no.
Chase your passion and monetize your passion.
Right.
Everybody understand what that means?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Okay. Because the thing is, you can get a lot of money and be miserable.
All money is not good money.
Exactly. And so, if you don't have happiness, if you don't have family, if you don't have loved ones, you just be a rich, broken person. There's a lot of people who are not millionaires who have better lives than some millionaires.
Oh yeah.
Because they're just chasing money. I mean, if you're a billionaire, what's another $1? But they're still chasing that dollar. I'll get off that soapbox.
You want me to? Okay. So our last question will be: what is one financial tip or principle every student should know? Actually, we kind of answered
Yeah.
that. Let me see. If you could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self about life and career?
If we could go back in time, what advice?
For me, I thought about this one because I had to do it sometimes because I think about it. to this day, one of my greatest strengths is I'm passionate, forward thinking, determined, but it's also it's my greatest weakness because I don't celebrate. Because like where I went in the Army and I felt like I got behind my peers, I was always looking forward. I never celebrated my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, first job, none of that stuff. My wife made me have a 50th birthday party. I didn't want it, right? And so because my mind is always next thing, but I'm out of balance. And so if you could be in balance, we all have goals, we all have desires, we all have aspirations in life, but we still have to be in balance. And so that's my biggest thing I would tell my younger self is it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. Enjoy the journey.
Well,
I
sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I agree with everything he said. The only other thing that I would probably tell myself, and it may not be some word of advice, it'd just be support. It would be continue to stay consistent. Just continue to stay consistent. The more consistent you are, the more you're putting yourself in position to win. So stay consistent. That's it.
Thank you for your answer. Do you want to wrap up?
Yeah. Well, thank you all for sharing your insights during this discussion. Your perspectives have given us a better understanding of the banking industry and how Truist Bank stands out as a leader.
We'd love to hear more from you now. If you have a question for our panelists, please raise your hand.
Question right there.
Yes.
What was your biggest motivation in your career?
Say that again. Biggest
What was the
motivation for what?
biggest motivation in our career?
Mhm.
My motivation was always reaching the next goal. I mean, I'd set goals for myself, 3-year, 5-year goal, and so my motivation was to reach that goal. That's something also I try to teach my kids. We raised 4 kids, and we always would ask them, what's your 3-year goal? What's your 5-year goal? So reaching that goal was most motivating thing for me.
So I think for me, very early on, if I have to think about my younger self, my motivation was money.
Yep.
I was trying to get to the
All
money.
day.
I was trying to get to the money at a very
money.
early age. I was trying to get to the money in any way that I could. I worked 2 jobs. Like I was trying to get to the money. If I had to fast forward of where I'm at right now, my biggest motivation is helping others.
Mm-hmm.
That gives me a sense of who I am. When I walk into a room and I leave out that room and one person say, thank you, and I can see the heartfelt thank you, and I know that I've changed one person's life, that's my motivation now.
Valuable.
I would say, for me personally, my motivation is family. You do a lot for your family, and is to add to Keisha and team here is to help people and help not only businesses but help the community, and help people that want to excel and move forward in life. So yeah.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I'll say this, and hopefully not offend anybody, but you asked the question to me directly. So my motivation now is to be the best person I can be the way God created me, to accept who I am the way he created me, and to fulfill the purpose he's placed in me. That's my motivation.
Yeah, excellent.
During the interview, someone mentioned how bad habits can affect you in the future, like it could be spending or like just like saving up in general. And I was wondering if you had any tips on how to break bad habits so they don't affect you in the future.
That's a really great question. How do you break bad habits? The first thing is recognizing that it is a bad habit. So that realization and recognition is the first way to break it. The second one is, how do you change that bad habit? I know I have a teenage daughter who tells me all the time that she's grown, and I keep telling her, if you're in my pocket, you're not grown. Until you're out of my pocket, you're grown. But having that mindset of I'm grown and I can spend how I want to, but then I have to ask mom, no, you need to change that habit. Because now that tells me that you're spending money on things that you can't afford. So that realization that I probably can't spend that amount of money, or I probably can't do that activity, changes the narrative, because now I know I need to make a little bit more so I don't have to ask mama because she ain't going to give it to me.
Yeah. You know, the other thing I think is really important is when you do recognize you have that bad habit, if you look at others who do not have that bad habit, or you've seen that they've broken that bad habit, I think engage them and ask them what they did. So often I think we try to stay independent and try to solve things within ourselves instead of engaging the person that you see that has had success with what you want to have success with, or who's overcome something that you've seen them overcome.
Absolutely.
Being able to count on others and just ask, how did you do that? What did you do to overcome that? That might be able to help you.
I'll just add here. I think that with the cell phone and with social media and all the technology that we have, we just want to make sure that we don't become AI or Siri or ourselves. I just feel that now we have to make a conscious effort to connect and build relationship with people. So sometimes that means putting the phone down, putting it away, and making that effort of listening to people, talking to people, making new relationships, especially elders and people that have already gone through what you might be going through in the very near future, right? I think that would be huge.
Can I ask a quick question of you two guys? Like, what have you done to elevate yourselves to the degree that you've gotten the opportunity to do what you do?
So I want to be a film director.
Mm.
And I joined this just because I wanted to get out of my show.
Gotcha.
So like when you want to write, so you can thank you.
Oh my
What do you have? So what do you have like a movie idea or you have a script? You have to pitch it to executives and producers.
Yeah.
And this gives me the used to it. Used to talking to other people and giving me the skills I need to pitch comfortably.
So what is the definition of excellence, right? We are what we repeatedly do. So the opportunity to do it over and over again puts you in a position that it becomes comfortable for you. I like that answer. Great stuff.
For me, I want to create my own beauty salon one day, but I wanted to incorporate a whole lot of different things because I love to do so many things, and I'm such a outgoing person. I love getting to know new people. But last year, I had a really difficult time putting myself out there, and Ms. Shipman made sure that she put me out there because I was so insecure about my ability to show people that I was worth investing in or looking at, So I wasn't really trying to talk to those executives that were coming over here to our interviews. I would kind of let other people talk over me and stuff. And so last year, we had a business pitch presentation, and I was in a room full of a bunch of other students competing against me for this place to have a dinner at a country club with those executives. So it was 4 people, and I pitched my idea for the salon to them, and they liked it, and I thought I did really bad. So I went outside, and then there's this guy that, his name's King David Reeves. He always comes around whenever we're doing the interview, so I see him a lot. And so he was like, "You did so good," and he asked for my Instagram so we could connect and stuff. So we stayed a little bit in touch still. Wonderful. And things went really good, and I got the dinner, and it was a really good experience. So now I feel like I want to put myself out there so much. I love getting to know new people, and I want to reach my goals.
That's a wonderful story.
Yeah.
High five, virtual. And then shout out to your teacher who put you out there. Yeah.
Shout out to Miss Shipman, y'all.
Yeah.
And thank you also so much, Miss West, because she's also been on our podcast, and we love Miss West. Thank you so much, Miss West.
Thank you, Miss West.
We appreciate it.
BMC. There you go. Business Management.
Can I just say one thing? I just want to encourage everyone. First, I want to say thank you for this opportunity on behalf of all this whole panel. But as a society and as a world, we have misdefined the word failure. Okay? True failure is when you stop trying. We label failure on everything where we mess up. Oh, I'm a failure. Not if you're still trying to do it, right? Failure should only occur when you stop trying or you're no longer here, right? Or it's time to switch and go in a different direction. That's still not failure. That's just a different opportunity, right? So if we kind of redefine how we look at things, well, they didn't pick my pitch that time, or they didn't select my movie this time. Well, you're not a failure. Maybe something wrong with them, right? It's our perspective, how we see the world, right? And we let other people shape how we see the world or how we feel about ourselves. That's why it's called self-esteem, not people esteem. Self-esteem is how you feel about yourself. So we have to do a better job of not letting things in this world, become toxic to how we think.
Absolutely.
So as you guys go along your journeys, guys and gals, you're going to have some potholes in the road. You're going to get diverted off your path. Just keep going. Yeah. Just keep trying and see where you land. Shoot for the sun, you might land on the moon.
There you go.
Or at least among the stars.
Yeah, off the ground.
All right. Thank you so much to our panelists, Mr. Brian, Mr. Johnson, Ms. Keisha, and Mr. Malik, for sharing your time, insights, and advice with us today. Your stories have inspired us and given us a deeper understanding of what it takes to succeed in the financial world.
Thank you to our audience for your attention and thoughtful questions. Don't forget to follow us on our social media at KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview, to stay updated on future events and content. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
It ran out, Barry. It ran out, Barry, as you finished.
We're done?
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Y'all did a great job.
Absolutely.
What's now, is Ghost a nickname or?
It's a radio name.
It's a radio name.
The shipment makes us pick a radio name. So
Why'd you pick Ghost?
Because it was the first thing that popped up into my